Hey guys, and welcome to The Broken Sword. Today we are finally getting into some behind the scenes stuff for the making of our short film. This is an exclusive video for patrons and channel members, just as a thank you for your support towards the budget of this project. So today we have finally got Marcus Armstrong on the channel. I say on the channel, on the Patreon.
Yeah.
To talk you through some of the stuff that's going on with the script. We're going to give you guys an exclusive. Some of this will be on a live stream on the channel too, but you guys are getting a little extra, of course. So Marcus is going to talk you through the intro, the opening voiceover.
Yes.
Voiceover.
Yeah. And then maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion about some of the stuff in the series Bible, I guess.
Hi everyone.
Yes.
I'm going to talk.
Do we need to set the scene with anything, or do you just want to read?
I think we just start.
go
Should we just go? Let's go. So I'm going to read you, you guys, the first 2 pages from the first episode. Are we revealing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The first episode of the fan film for these guys, which is very exciting. So, a black screen. A fiddle plays a mournful tune. A man's. It's lovely. It's very good.
It was, wasn't it?
It's great. Yeah. A man's voice speaks in low tones. The dominion of men is at hand, the old enemies overthrown, the old alliances forgotten, even the old magic lost to the land, and the long peace has nurtured apathy, and apathy nurtures weakness. That's so
It
dramatic.
sounds alright, I think.
Do you reckon it's all right with this?
Yeah,
I think it sounds good.
Should I carry on? I'll keep going.
Yeah,
I'll go
why
a bit
not?
more.
Fine,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, sounds
Come
good. Interior, a dark place, night, close on a beautiful red book. The page turns to show a hand-drawn image in ink, surrounded by writing in foreign tongue, illegible. The memory of men is short. We move on, become complacent. All we now know from the time before comes from the crumbling structures of our forebears. The page turns once more to reveal an image of a round door under a hill. And a book, penned by one whose name is lost to the ages. The page turns once more and reveals the image of a host of magical creatures. It is said that we once shared this world with many races, though none have been seen in living memory. The page turns just as I turn the page. It's very method here. The page turns to a great army facing a volcano. They forged great alliances and together prevailed against the dark. Once again, the page turns and shows a great black mountain with a long line of people below it with horse and cart. This image is less faded, not as old as those before. The lands of the enemy were reclaimed, though it is whispered that such darkness can never be expelled. The next page reveals images of heroic-looking men in armor, very faded. And so we live in this hard-won peace, though we must remain ever watchful, with an eye always to the horizon. The page turns once again to a new chapter depicting 2 wizards by a river. The water seemed to flow upwards towards a shadow. They hold their staffs against the dark creature, obscured by shadow. The words at the top of the page, new. Evil has a way of emerging when left unchecked.
And scene.
I'm done.
Dramatic, very dramatic.
Very well read.
Thank you very much. I
Very well
appreciate
read.
that. Thanks, guys.
It's like you've done it before.
It is, isn't it? So yeah, I know these words quite well.
So that is the opening, I guess, prologue to the film.
Yeah.
Those of you that don't know, this is one cohesive story that is split up into 3 parts. So it's a trilogy of sorts, and we will be releasing them one at a time, filming them separately. We're not filming them all at once, so it is one project at a time. And this hopefully does a good job of setting exactly where we are, so you guys have an idea of what's going on, the history of our world, our universe, and potentially what's to come.
Yes, I mean, that was draft 14 or 15 now.
14 or 15.
Of episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of gone through a lot of changes, and probably that's not going to be the final thing in the end. There's bound to be a change or 2 to it by the time we actually record. I think it gives a very good setting of just where we are.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure when exactly we first announced this project. Can anyone remember?
It was a while ago.
Pre-pandemic,
Yeah.
I guess.
I know I remember I got the first message from you guys talking about this probably going on 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
I think it must be something like
It
that.
was pretty much when we set up a Patreon.
Yeah.
So that
yeah,
means that's
yeah,
got to be
yeah.
at least 2-ish years ago now.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? Yes, it's probably about 20 months. So 20 months-ish of working on this. Marcus has, to be fair, put in a lot of work, and as James just said, 14 drafts of this script. That's a lot of drafts.
It's a lot of drafts.
But not only that, Marcus has also put together a Bible. So we've got this full...
It's not even the full thing. This is what they call a show Bible. So the idea is that you have all of the information required for characters, storyline, everything like that anybody could ever need, wrapped up in one convenient, handy document, which gets added to as production goes on.
Yeah. But this is mainly for us as, the behind the scenes stuff. It's not something that really, gets released to the audience.
Sure.
But as you guys on Patreon and the members of the channel are the ones funding this project, it's fun to share some of this stuff with you. So we'll keep this casual, I guess, and just have a little flick through and point out some interesting bits that we can discuss.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I suppose we start with the background of it. The series is inspired by the events of Tolkien's world, and so it is. You could think of it as, if you wanted to connect the two in your own minds, you could think of it as being roughly 1,000 years since the events that you are familiar with. And so, what happens in that time? Men move on; they forget. A big theme in Tolkien's work is the dwindling of magic and magical creatures and things like that. So by the time you were to reach sort of 1,000 years after those events, it's myth. It's all become myth by that point. The dwarves, I think, the last dwarf was seen about 100 years ago, which makes me very sad. It makes me very sad. The elves have long gone. They are a entirely forgotten entity within the world. Wizards, all of that. It's all gone. These are just men. And over time, a piece has won out. And as is implied with the opening kind of monologue or prologue, they've become a bit complacent. And the men of the West are no longer the great armies that you might consider them to be. And so now, if a threat were to arise, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, what might happen.
This might just be a film purely of peace, where
it might just be, yeah.
men just eating,
farming,
smoking, and drinking.
Yeah. It sounds great. Should we change the?
Yeah, maybe we should
just do that. I think, yeah, might be better.
Maybe it's just an adventure for pipeweed.
That sounds so great. I kind of want to do that as well. Now. That sounds fun.
That's our spin-off series.
Yeah. Adventure for pipeweed.
Coming on the Broken Soul Plus. In 2025.
But if a terrible event or something bad were to happen, mankind is on its own now. There is nothing to help them. There's nothing to do. So the age of men is well and truly put to the test. Can they stand up to the legacy of their forefathers and the legacy of the magical creatures that left them behind? I think that's quite a good kind of introduction to the world.
I think that gives you an idea of where we're at.
Yeah. As you can see, there are lots and lots of notes here. I think that does a good job. There are lots of details and things that will be revealed, I think, as the stuff comes out, and things like that. There will be some familiar things.
I think maybe we can talk a little bit about the main cast of characters, kind of the lands that they are from, maybe the inspirations.
Sure.
So as Marcus did point out, it's not necessarily featured in Middle-earth. It's not a Middle-earth story. It's inspired by. Mm-hmm. It's just an
as
original
is all fantasy.
Yeah,
right?
it's an original fantasy project. Mm-hmm. But obviously there are going to be similarities between our work and Tolkien's work because, well, that's clearly our main inspiration. As with all fantasy genres, you can go through Game of Thrones,
Harry Potter.
They all have huge similarities.
We owe a lot to Tolkien.
Yeah, we've done it in a way where we can point out the connections, but it is also original. So the way we're talking through this is trying to give you guys an idea of where the inspiration comes from and how you can look at it if you want to connect it to Middle-earth. But again, it is an original story. Mm-hmm. So who are our main cast of characters?
Should we give them the names? Can we name them?
Yes, let's give.
Should we do that?
Yeah, well,
why not?
How exciting! Yeah. How exciting! So, The main protagonist is a chap called LotR, son of Medaborn. He's grown up on the plains of this land and is part of what is described as at this point. This is a detail that might change, but at this point is a part of a rolling kind of caravan, a nomadic. I think tribe's quite the right word, but community of folk that move across the great plains of the land. And his brother Halfate, also son of Medaborn, these brothers have grown up on the stories and myths of the past, and one of them believes it a little more than the other, which will, be potentially problematic for them in the future. And then there is their father, Medaborn, who is the LotR of the village. He's the keeper of stories. He looks after the myths and legends of the past. And is kind of you describe him as kind of a wise man sort of figure, I suppose. They're sort of the main cast of that, and then you have some bad guys, and I'll give you one of the names of the bad guys, which is Naldu, son of Bathgot, who is I think troubled would be a good way of putting it. A troubled soul who doesn't quite fit into the way of thinking of the ages, the age that we find ourselves in, and bless him. He's and he has a companion, Yuran, daughter of Borlad, and they are troubled.
Yeah,
troubled.
I think a cool thing to point out as well is, obviously you mentioned that Medaborn is the LotR and the keeper of the stories and the myth and the legend. The myth and the legend is that of, the magical creatures that once existed.
Sure.
Like we said, elves, dwarves, wizards, these sort of beings in Middle-earth, orcs, these sort of characters. Obviously in our story, not Middle-earth, but those are the sort of similarities that you can point out. There's the fading of magic, and that has become legend, and it's almost a religion of sorts.
Yeah,
right? You have the believers, ones that are like, this is thousands of years ago. Like, it really happened. It's part of our history. And then there's those that are like, no, it's myth. It's stories. It's fables. It's bedtime stories.
Absolutely, which is the way of things. We had quite an entertaining conversation yesterday about the way time spans and things like that. What was this street called 1,000 years ago? I mean, it wasn't a street 1,000 years ago, but
what was it?
100 years ago.
1,000 years is a long time.
The memory of mankind is short, and that's the point. And the only reason they even remember that these things might have existed are through the myths and legends of old. And that really is this is what makes it kind of spiritually a connection to what Tolkien started in this idea, because he wanted to create a mythology for England. That was one of the main points and starting points of his work. And I think the idea of kind of trying to move it to a logical connection and a logical conclusion, almost, I suppose, of those themes of magic dwindling and those things becoming myth, fits in with that idea that he started, and the idea of things being forgotten. And it's one of the big themes of the three films. Is that things being forgotten, and that's dangerous. And what do we lose when we forget? What do we lose when things are forgotten, and what dangers can that unfold?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that is the main theme.
Yeah.
and the main link between our world, our story, and Tolkien's.
Yes, for sure.
That dwindling of magic, and I think, well, we'll have to wait and see how that goes, because this isn't a spoiler show.
Sure.
Yeah, I suppose it's very clear we really need to say that any of this could well be different by the time we shoot. This is just where we are in October 2020.
Yeah.
One.
Good work.
Yeah, this
You
week.
just didn't let me finish.
This week has kind of it's basically it's almost the final pre-production meeting. Like not pre-production, but story meeting. It's kind of, we want to finalize this today.
So
I think
episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. Yeah. I think we pretty much have done that. And I am so happy with where it's at. We did a full read through, because up until this week, we've only gone through this over like Messenger and FaceTime and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've been writing this through a pandemic. So this week was the first time we'd sat down together physically and had a read through. Now James and I had read through it before, switching between narration and characters, but with the three of us and Marcus narrating and reading through it properly, chills.
I'm pleased. I'm really pleased. I'm very proud of it, and I think I'm excited for you guys to see it. I'm excited to see what you guys, because this is one of those things, you know, where as a writer, you sit kind of on your own in a room and you do all this stuff, and now it kind of gets handed across. That was good, wasn't it? How dramatic was that? And it now kind of gets handed over to you guys, and now, you know, it's. I'm excited to see what you do with it. It's fun.
I'll also point out that Marcus isn't just some, Lord of the Rings fan.
I am that.
But decided to help us out with the script. He is actually a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have like a master's?
I do, yeah. Master's in screenwriting. I'm a professional screenwriter. I also teach screenwriting at master's level, and I give notes and stuff like that. I run my own business as a script doctor. Lots of projects going on. There's all sorts.
So you know a little bit about it then?
I like that. Script doctor. That sounds like
That's
a show.
what they call it. Can we be film doctors?
You can be film doctors, yeah.
It just sounds like some like kooky cartoon. The script doctor.
The script doctor.
I just thought of something very important that we did forget to reveal. And that's the name of the project.
I was wondering when you were going to do that.
So this project, over the last, let's say 20 months, has gone through many names. And because it's 3 parts, we wanted to give it an overall title, and then each section a chapter name, if you will. But we have settled on, we're just going to go for it, just going to reveal it. Yeah?
I think so.
I think so.
The Guard.
The Guard.
Yes.
The Guard.
So each part will be...
I liked it, it was good, yeah.
Each part will be split into chapters. So are we revealing the chapter name? As of right now.
Potentially, yeah, because this is probably going to change, wasn't it?
It might well, but if, you know, go for it.
Well,
Why not?
I'll tell you what. So basically, this is one of those things that we've struggled with, is trying not to name them after something that sounds like a cheesy D&D campaign.
Yeah.
But also, at the same time, this title is relevant in a way, and it fits, and it's not the project title, it's the episode title, the chapter title. So, as it stands right now, this first part is The Guard, Chapter 1, The Forgotten Darkness. So, there we have it.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's named that.
Yeah.
It is. It is indeed.
It is.
I think that's enough information for now. Hopefully you guys have picked up enough from this video to kind of get an idea of where we're at with this project. Hopefully it excites you as much as it excites me. Of course, as always, thank you all so much for your support and for believing in this project and funding it. There's still time. There's no point in shouting out to you guys, actually. But you're already Patreon, so there's no point in
Thank you.
Still, if you want to support it, you can still up your pledge. No, that's it. Again, Marcus, thanks for your work, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It's been awesome to work with you again.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, because
All these years later.
we go back a long way. The three of us. We've been doing stuff like this for a long time. So
Since
it's
uni.
been since uni. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been fun. Thank you for giving me a chance to play.
Yeah,
It's great.
it's been a good one. It's always easier to work with people that you're friends with. You know, it's easier for us to be like, no, that sucks.
Yeah,
Do it again.
yeah.
Or that's amazing, and you know, we can be honest with each other, and that brings across a purer and better story.
Sure.
Cool. Again,
Thanks
awesome
very
work.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you all so much for your support. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on The Broken Sword.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.